Hey guys, it's layout update time over here. Yes, it has been a while since I've done a layout update, but it's time since I'm going to start working on something on the layout over here. So let's see, we can kind of back up a little bit. So on my layout, I've got my background mountains are just an image that has been printed out on my regular old printer here at home and then taped together and put up into the background. I've got a couple different ones that I've done. This one you're looking at here in the yard, this is the very first one I did, and it was actually going to be a throwaway because it was on a different part of the layout, and then I got kind of a better picture, which if we scoot over here, you can see the mountains in the background over there. It was a lighter day and everything like that I got, and I ended up replacing the one that I have here in the yard. I kind of temporarily put it here, and it's been sitting here for, well, years now. And I figured it's time to do something about it. And so I was thinking that I was going to do similar to what I did over here, which is printed out the same picture, but I did it at Walgreens on vinyl. But it's been, well, almost a year that this background up here in the newest section of the layout here has been up, and after a year I can kind of say that at least on the vinyl background I'm not quite liking it. Two things. Number one, it's not glued very well to the back right here. You can see the top of it is kind of peeling and curling. So is the bottom a little bit here. Not so bad right there. But especially over here in the corner, let's come over here and take a look at this. It kind of wraps around, but you can see that it just kind of sticks up and out. And down here, it's sort of just wonky and all that stuff right over here. And the other thing is, I don't think the color on it is actually holding up very well after a year of sitting in my garage. So it gets hot, it gets kind of cold-ish, for California, down into maybe the 40s at the worst, but it does get hot in here and everything. And this background here is just not doing very well on the vinyl. So I was thinking initially I was going to have it printed out on a whatever, kind of like a self-adhesive background. And when I did this is from Walgreens. You pick the banner option when you go to their site, and it's basically printed out as a big 8-foot long banner. And then I just cut the mountains and kind of glue them on the back here. But like I said, I don't think the colors held up, and the vinyl is peeling. And then I'm kind of started thinking, and what can I do? And I think what I'm going to do is actually paint my mountains on over here. So I'm going to start here in the yard, and the first thing I got to do is kind of get rid of all of this stuff right here so I can get in the back right there, pull the existing mountains off, and then we can kind of get to painting over here. So I'm going to prop you up a little bit right here. Let's start getting stuff out of here. That's step number one. So I'm just going to move everything just along the background here because I'm going to get rid of stuff, or not get rid of stuff, but I got to get rid of the mountain. And we're gonna paint a new one here. I guess I gotta get rid of my little telephone poles, though. I think these are glued in, so that might be a little bit difficult. Let's get rid of these little background flats I've had here. You can see this one was my first attempt. It's not the best. I actually put it on that kind of thicker poster board, and so you can kind of see the top of it when it's sitting there. I might have to redo that one. The other ones over here are just, regular old paper printouts, and they're just kind of taped to the back here. And they're starting to curl too, so I might have to redo those. As a matter of fact, what I did, I'll show you once I get down there. This is going to be, I'm probably going to tear the crap out of this. Well, I'll show you right now. So one of the things is I got another piece that I was going to print out, and it's this one right here, and I glued it very nicely to just a piece of cardboard to give it a little bit more stiffness. And again, like I've mentioned in my past videos, everything over here is just kind of like a prop, like a movie set. So I can prop that up over there, And as long as it stays in place, you know, it looks halfway decent over on the background like that, if that's all you're viewing. So that's one piece I did, you know, once I started thinking about what I was going to be doing here. And then eventually, like I said, I just settled on the fact, you know what, I'm going to paint the backgrounds, or the mountains at least. Well, let's get this little piece off here. And then I'm going to mix up some paint. I'm going to have to leave the telephone poles here because they are glued into the ground, unfortunately. So we're going to have to work around that. Get that piece off. This is probably going to be a longer video because well, it's going to take me a little while to do this. Let's get this tree out of here. These guys are just kind of stuck in there. Thank goodness. I'll put that over here. And let's come over here. We got more stuff because I'm going to paint the mountains all the way down into the very end here. So we're just going to move all this stuff away from the back. I know I'm already going to break a few things. This is my big, ginormous tree here. I'm going to stick that someplace. A little bit of fencing here I had. Just little odds and ends, you know. All right, let's get this thing. Like I said, this piece here was... back you up a little bit. This piece here was initially on the other side of the layout. I'll just hold this up. And then I temporarily stuck it on here with just some tape. And it worked okay. But, yeah, it's time to do something a little bit more permanent here. Let me see. I'm going to, like, rip everything apart. There we go. Alright. I'll use that. That's not getting used again. We'll use it as kind of maybe a reference there. So, I'm gonna, let's see, let me think what I'm gonna do here. Yeah, I wish I could get these power lines off, but like I said, they're glued in, so we'll just work around them. I'm gonna set you up on a tripod, and then we'll mix up some paint and we'll start painting. Okay, one thing I forgot to do, I just kind of propped this back up over here, was actually just kind of, I am gonna sort of keep the mountain the way it is, so I'm just gonna kind of just put a little pencil marks here and there just to know where I'm going to be painting the actual mountains, roughly. Not the most scientific way of doing this, but again, it's just a rough estimate here. We're going to paint over this line anyway. All right, there we go. Now I can get rid of this thing, finally. And I come back here and just kind of put my mountain back up here. Just following some of my little marks. It kind of came down here, came back up, and we'll get down to there. All right, there we go. Let's see, I don't know if you can see that very well, but yeah, so we've got a little bit of a line right there. All right, now, gonna start mixing up some paint. I'm gonna use that sort of, I don't know, it's kind of like a very hazy day here in the yard, and so in the background's basically just going to be like a light gray with a blue tinge to it. So I'm going to mix up some paint and we'll start to painting. Okay, so here's my basic colors right here. I got a little bit of white, just a dab of black, and a little bit of blue, and I'm going to try to mix these ever so slightly. We'll grab that little black, get that in there. And just a little dab of blue. This stuff kind of goes a long way. Now, I'm not going to paint the whole thing while you guys are watching, because that would be pretty boring. But at least you'll sort of see where I'm going with this. And again, if the thing looks like, well, crapola in the end, we can always change it around. And let's see how that looks. Now I'm just going to do the outline right here, the very ridge line. Just cover up my my little pencil mark right there. Right? And again, I got to kind of play around with this. Just get a rough line out on here. It might be kind of hard to see, but very fun. Being that I am artistic, as you can tell by my palette, I figured I can probably do better than the photos there anyway. Now I'm going to use them as a guide here. I'm going to brush this in. We'll start making little things, little hillsides and stuff like this. The main thing is that I want to just get something on here that's not going to fade with time. All right, I'm going to keep on painting, but that's basically it right there. Let me pick you up and show you a little bit closer right there. Hopefully that kind of comes out, and we'll get a little artistic as we go here. All right. Okay, I got the first layer down. And as you can see, it's just pretty, quick and dirty, just kind of getting down an initial layer of gray paint. I wasn't trying to be, wasn't trying to make any mountains or anything, just trying to make a horizon line and then sort of getting it down towards the, towards the bottom there. Now, I didn't go all the way to the bottom because, again, I'm going to have, little flats and stuff like that, so I don't need to paint all the way to the ground level. But what I am going to do is, you can see right here, I brought in one of my pieces right here. I'm just going to use that sort of as a little guide here. You really can't see, like sort of mountains. I know I'm twisting you all different ways. I think right here I kind of got the start of some of that mountainy stuff right there in the background, but you can't tell any details. It's just really a silhouette. But we can kind of spruce it up a little bit here. I'm holding my tripod, that's why I'm shaking you all around. Sorry about that. But so I'm going to grab some more paint, and we'll use a little bit of lightening and darkening, and we'll kind of say the sun is sort of coming from the right hand side, and maybe make some shadows and stuff like that. Very lightly on here. This little scene here is probably the easiest one to do. You could see in this, the printout, actually right here, it was actually two mountains. So you could see there's the one in the background over here, above the palm tree here, and then there's another one here that runs through there. So we can kind of do some of that stuff. I don't know, we'll kind of play around with it and see how it comes out here. Let me set you up. I will get this out of the way. We can toss that now, and I'll start painting a little bit right over here so you can kind of see what I'm getting at here. So sun's coming from the right. So I'm just going to I've got a little bit of paint here, and I'm just going to kind of make a few little ravines and things like that, sort of coming down this way. I don't know if you can kind of see that, but and this is all about taking you know, a lot of layers here. So a lot of background layers. But there's one. Let me darken a little bit up over here. And we'll come back the other side here. Let's see if that'll work. Hard to do with the camera going right here, but I think you kind of get the... Alright guys, another fresh battery over here. Man, I'm going through batteries, but at least right there you can kind of see what I'm getting at, especially if you come down here and you just kind of see whatever mountains are in the background right there. You see very little detail on them. And if, let me see, let me grab one of these things. If we kind of just stick something like that in the background here without getting paint all over ourselves. And we can zoom in and kind of see what I'm getting at over here. This is how it's gonna look, right? With just a little bit of that background stuff. You know, the little detailed scenery that'll be in front of it. All right, guys, that's it for right now. I know this video is probably going to be long and not much is happening other than me painting stuff. But that's what I've been working on, and that's what I've been thinking about. And I'm going to keep painting here. And in the next video, we should have something that looks quite a bit nicer than what we started with. Till next time, don't forget to hit the thumbs up button, the like button, whatever. Subscribe if you're not subscribed, all that good stuff. And I'll show you what everything looks like when it's like, I guess, semi-complete. Take care.